morning and welcome to the first ever White Collar Support Group Conference, starting over out of isolation and into community. My name is Craig Stanland and I will be your MC for the day. A white collar justice journey is one that far too many make alone. And that's a real shame because they don't have to. I know I started out alone until my neighbor read about my arrest in the local paper. And he suggested that I reach out to his friend, Jeff Grant. And I'm grateful I did. Because there's an undeniable power in connecting with a healing community. A healing community allows you to be seen, heard, and perhaps most importantly, understood within your experience. It enables you to find the language for how you're feeling. When we feel seen, heard, and understood in our experience, we can heal. And from there, we can reintegrate into society, feeling empowered. Throughout our conference and the panels to follow, that's the journey we will take you on today. So before we dive in, a couple of tips to help you maximize your experience. I encourage you to click on multi-speaker in Zoom. Go to View and click on multi-speaker. That'll make the experience even more dynamic. And let's spread the word. Let's try to reach somebody out there who could use some help. Share it on social. We have a hashtag designed just for this event. Hashtag is WCC24. And now it's with great pleasure that I hand it over to one of our co-hosts, one of the co-founders of the White Collar Support Group, and my friend, Jeff Grant.
Thank you, Craig. What a beautiful opening. Well, I want to thank everybody for being here and welcome to White Collar Conference 2024. This conference is designed for us to show respect and dignity for ourselves so that we can demand respect and dignity from others. Because after all, if we don't show up for ourselves, how can we expect anyone else to show up for us? So this is a moment and a mission and a movement for all of us. A little bit of history of the White Collar Support Group. For those of you who don't know, we have been meeting for 8.5 years on Monday nights at 7 p.m. We've had 435 meetings, and we've had over 1,200 members in the first 8.5 years. And I remember our first meeting, which was actually in May of 2016, and there were 4 people on it. And I can tell you that most grassroots criminal justice organizations do not make it through 3 meetings. So the fact that we've made it through 435 meetings is really testimony to our unanimity of purpose, and of course, to all of you who've made this so important. So about 6 months ago, we decided we were going to run this conference, and we are just so thrilled that it's come together, and we have over 150 registrants. So we're off and running. A few thank yous, and then I'm going to turn it over to Brent. The first, I want to thank our sponsors. There's over 25 of them, and of course, our lead sponsor, Paul Weiss. Thank you for your support. I want to thank all the participants, the speakers, the moderators, and the panelists. Really wonderful for you to show up for us and to give it your all today. Of course, all of our members who are in various stages of their white-collar criminal justice journeys, and all the friends, family, clients, colleagues, professionals, and all of the attendees who are here. We're so grateful that you're here with us. And of course, especially I want to thank my wife and co-founder, Lynn Springer, who is here with us. And I know that I couldn't have done it or anything in life without her. So I'm blessed to share this life with her. And with that, I'm going to introduce Brent Cassity, who will be conducting a fireside chat with our keynote presenter, David Israel. It's going to be a tremendous 40 minutes or so. So strap yourselves in, everybody. Get ready for a life-changing 3 hours, and take it away, Brent.
Thank you, Jeff Grant. I appreciate it. Love seeing everybody here. I see a lot of familiar faces out there too. You know, this has been something we've been working on. And I'm really excited to have somebody like David Israel as our keynote because man, he's done a lot. And I want to just give you a little bit back on David. And the reason why I say that just a little bit, I'm actually releasing the full episode, the whole story of David Israel next week, next Thursday. So everybody check out Nightmare Success in and out for David Israel's full story, because it's quite a story. But just a little background on David. If you were looking for a picture that goes next to turning lemons into lemonade, I think you're going to find David Israel's picture. Turning adversity into opportunity is what he does. David is an uber successful serial entrepreneur. He's owned a nightclub, a jewelry store, a chain of upscale pawn shops, and a maintenance company. When I say he owned a maintenance company, he started out because his wife was working in an apartment complex, and he went into the fitness room because they needed somebody to clean it, and he got really good at it, and he ended up having a maintenance company that represented over hundreds of properties while he was down on his luck and he couldn't get a job. So he started cleaning the fitness center. David went through a riveting, incredible 7-year nightmare that eventually had him serving a 5-year prison sentence. Then what did he do? Then what do you do after you get out of prison? Well, David founded Pop Gourmet Foods, whose idea originated by inmates who were creating, and I think everybody's seen this who's been to prison, they were making the popcorn taste better. And David figured out a whole snack company to this, and that snack Gourmet Foods ended up taking the snack industry by storm nationally, internationally. Then in 2017, David did it again by creating the wildly popular company called Good Planet Foods to address the demand for people who want to eat better, healthier, environmentally friendly foods and products. So David, welcome. Where are you on my screen?
Wow.
There
what an
you
introduction. What an introduction. Thank you, Brent. You had me smiling. I'm honored to be here. And Jeff, thank you for inviting me and putting on this great event for everybody. It's so important. So just happy to be here.
Well, David, one of the things that, and I know your story so well now because we did the interview, we talked back and forth, but I think one of the things that we have a common thread, all of us, I think we've all gone, and for most people on here, they've experienced the criminal justice system, and probably a good percentage of have gone through it and made it out to the other side, but have experienced prison and gone into reentry. So there's a lot of people on here who have done big things. We're making big decisions in their lives, in their businesses. And then they went through their nightmare. And then they went into reentry. And a lot of people don't talk about how tough reentry is, but the struggle of reentry a lot of time is just gaining that confidence back, that groove that you had. And David, one of the things that's a strong, just a stream through your life is that as many times as you get knocked down, you get back up. And how did you find your groove back when you were getting knocked down and getting that confidence back? What walk us through that?
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with just my perspective. One, I was wrongfully charged. Two, it was way overcharged. They load up the charges like no tomorrow because I turned down a plea to something simple. And I was determined to fight back the best I could. I knew the prosecution was doing everything in their power to make sure I didn't have a job, to make sure I couldn't, raise capital, whatever. They just wanted to prevent me from being successful. So it just made me more determined to find a way to be successful, because I knew that was the worst torture for them. So I was really driven. And of course, like Jeff and a lot of us, my wife stood by me 100% and was there supporting me and made me feel like I could do whatever I needed to do. So that's a lot, right? I didn't, even though I lost what I thought was everything, I soon learned, that material items and being in the spotlight, that's that's not what was important to me. What became important was my family. And once I eliminated all their other shit, it was easy for me to focus on doing what I needed to do, which is to be successful for my family, and two, be successful to kind of punish the prosecutor.
Yeah. Well, and you talk about, and I think, I put it in quotes when we were talking, that you lived your life and it's always that you're not too good to tackle something. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think one, a lot of people are set in their ways, right? And they're not willing to step back and roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty. I mean, I knew when I was charged initially, I had just raised capital from the founders of Costco, the Howard Schultz at Starbucks, and both of their entire boards, actually. And I was on top of the world. I was in the newspapers for being so successful, from a nothing to something story in Seattle. And when I was charged, it was overnight where, everybody was kind of, this guy, I can't get near him, right? So it really, really hit me. And I had to roll up my sleeves. I couldn't get a job, and I couldn't stay running my company because that wouldn't be fair to my investors. So I had to step aside. And, I think I had to get my act together. I had to understand what I was doing. I mean, I didn't understand the criminal justice system. But, I had to figure things out and understand my path forward. We rushed to trial. We waived the speedy trial right because we had a witness that was going to basically turn everything upside down. So we tried to get to trial, and we did. But the prosecutor appealed that witness. She asked the judge not to allow him, but he did. But she appealed the witness. So I didn't understand. I went home for 3 years, right? So,
Which is unusual. I mean, your story is unusual in that way, because every time you had somebody that it was going to wipe away the case, you had to deal with the fact that it didn't happen. And so and then you were just put in purgatory for another 2 or 3 years. I think that's what's really interesting about your story, though, David. Each and every time that you had been they pulled the rug out from under you, and you thought that you had it. They made the phone call, you're at the pool, you're getting ready to go, report to prison, and they said, no, everything's good. We've got the guy, he's recanting, he's sending his stuff in, and then you find out that it doesn't work. And every single time that happened, that's the thing that I think is so important to bring out here, is that it's the thing that we all are dealing with. We all are going to get hit, and through reentry, we're going to get hit. People are going to surprise us. We're going to think we're on a roll, and then they pull the rug out. But that's what you went ahead and walked through, is that, okay, the rug's pulled out from under me. What do I do now?
You have to listen. I mean, anybody in our position, no matter what the circumstances are, whether you did something, you didn't do something, we have to move forward. We have to own our story, right? And I learned right away that I had to own my story. I couldn't hide from it, obviously, but I wanted to. If I had a meeting, I was very upfront, and I wanted to tell it my story before someone goes and Googles or reads it and determines it for themselves based on what they read in the newspaper. I don't get to filter what their newspaper prints. The prosecutor does. So I decided to be very upfront, take control, and it really it surprised me, but it worked. They felt me being transparent, authentic. They felt that they could trust me because I owned it up front and wasn't trying to hide behind it. So they took my story and would go read it online and say, "Oh, well, everything I read that they said is bullshit." So it's a big message, right? And I think we can't be afraid. When you tell your story and you're authentic and you're passionate, the person listening is captivated and sold by the person that they're talking to. So, I think it's just, that's very empowering. It left me walking away feeling like, man, I'm in control of this at this point. I mean, I can't control what goes on in court and what the prosecutor does, but outside of that, I can own it and control it, which created a lot of strength for me, like I said, internally, and gave me, I wasn't afraid. I wasn't afraid to go out in the public. I wasn't afraid to go meet new people. It really, and please don't take this the wrong way, but it kind of made me a celebrity within the community because they're like, wow, this guy's getting hammered, but he's out there and he's owning it and living it and is not afraid. And look, I was afraid because I didn't know I didn't know what was going on. As much as I felt positive in my case, slam dunk. There is no slam dunk. You never know. And you know what I mean?
And David, I think, you and I probably talking back and forth. That's one of the biggest things that we talked about is owning your story. And each time you've talked about it is you say, listen, when I was walking into those rooms, every time I was telling my story, I got stronger. I got more confidence. I was able to be in control of my own life again because because if you don't own your story, somebody else owns your story and they're going to tell it
100%.
differently than what you want it. And I think, David, that's one of the interesting things about as you walked through getting different successes before and then after you got out of prison. I mean, you've got an all-star gold-plated board. I mean, COO of Oracle. And one of the things you were telling me is that when you were walking into those rooms, because of the way you told your story, they wanted to do business with you.
They did. It's funny. When you go in and you tell your story of kind of tragedy or struggle and how you've put that behind you and you're just owning it and moving forward. These level of investors were like, holy cow, we want to be in some business with someone like you, someone that can persevere, they're going to get knocked down and they're still going to figure out how to win. So it's like I didn't go in this last time. I didn't go into these meetings asking for money. At first, if someone is raising capital, you don't want to ever ask for money. You want to kind of tell what you're doing and see where it goes and ask for advice. Because if you ask for money, you get advice. If you ask for advice, you get money. But nonetheless, I told my story at one of these meetings, and they were like, are you raising capital? I'm like, no, I'm not. I might later, but I'm not. And it just got frothy. These guys are like, we want to invest in someone like you because we believe in your strength. We believe in what you're doing. We believe you'll get it done no matter what. And it's just, I think, again, the transparency and authenticity that I try to bring. I mean, you don't want to bullshit anybody. They'll figure it out.
Right.
But again, you tell your story your way from your perspective in a positive way, right? I mean, there's always a positive. I mean, shit happens. We can't have, no matter what. I mean, there is no perfection. Everybody has issues no matter what. And we just have to work around those and move forward. I don't want to lose. But I have to tell everybody, I mean, once I took away winning, the money part was my winning or the material things were the winning, things became a lot easier. I just wanted to win for my family, for my investors, to create a better life and to do well for my investors, not worrying about having a bigger house or a cool watch or a plane, whatever. You know what? I mean, those things come with the territory if you're successful, if they're important to you. But being focused and knowing that you just want to win for your family, for a better life, for your investors, makes everything a lot easier. Also, going through what a lot of us has gone through. I mean, prison made me a stronger, smarter businessman because there was so much out of my control. I just had to let go, right? I mean, you're like I can't control this. I can't control that. If they take my mail or what, can't control that. So it's just like, you just got to roll with it. And I think when I decided just to roll with it, it was easy.
David, I want to talk a little bit about your prison time because, you doing time in prison, you've got a lot of different ways you can do your time. A lot of people, how you do your time is some people read, work out, whatever. You said that, you had something to prove when you were in prison. And what did you mean by that?
Well, I finally gave a no contest plea and decided because I had to have an ending to I could have gone back to trial, but couldn't risk it. I decided I had to go to prison to end it, to know it was a finished thing. My wife and I decided, and I gave a no contest plea, and I went to prison for 5 years, basically. But the mission when I went to prison, my goal was to create a business from there. I was determined that I was going to create a business to make that prosecutor sorry that she sent me to prison. I got there within the first few months. I saw guys working out. I go, I'm gonna write a book, and it's going to be, fitness from the inside out, and show people how they can just get in shape from. I mean, I saw guys doing pull-ups, or bicep curls with towels off the bars. So I was like, we could create a really cool book. Well, that wasn't going to fly. I couldn't really do a book from prison. Then I was going to then I went to another book. I was going to do a recipe book, so kind of cooking from the inside out, because there's some pretty cool recipes out of nothing.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to fly either. But in my last 6 or 7 months, these guys were doing this popcorn concoction. And I followed a really routine, strict diet. It used to drive everybody insane, but I would be very strict on my diet 6 days a week. And on the 7th day, I would kind of pig out. Well, these guys were never making the popcorn on my 7th day, so I never tried it. But I would watch people eat it. One day, I tried it, and I took a bite, and I go, this is the business. And I had people start sending me information on the popcorn industry. And I started developing the recipe, and I came up with the idea of first it was
David,
called.
I'm curious about that. Where did you start reaching out on popcorn recipe? Who were you reaching out to?
Well, I had a company. My maintenance company was still in business, so I had everybody start going on the internet and sending me information on the popcorn industry. They could send printed items in, and I would read it and review it and figure it out and understand it better. I wrote a business plan. It was very short. It was a 3-page business plan, but I did it, and they allowed me to use the computer and print it. So, and I called it Popcorn initially. The first product was the original Big House, which is exactly what they made in my facility. And when I got home, I started making it for people, my friends and the family, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is unbelievable." I'm like, "Okay." So I packaged it up. I took it to my local Thriftway store, which is just a small 7-store chain in my area. I dropped it off, and the guy calls me up and he goes, "Hey, we want to bring this in." And I'm like, "Okay, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm making it in my kitchen." I'm like, "Okay, I'll make it, drop it off. You guys can pay me when you sell." They don't know. They're like, "We want to buy this." I go, "Great." They brought it in. They put it on the shelf. I had my printed stickers on there that said original Big House. I changed it to Popcorn. The popcorn wasn't going to fly for the public, but I still called it the original Big House. And it started selling pretty well. They brought it through all 7 stores. But I went in, they had me doing demos, and I went in one day and I started looking at the shelf, and I'm on there, and the original Big House, it's great. It's a much higher quality product than anything else on there. But I'm looking at everything else. I'm like, it still kind of blends in with what's here. It's caramel and this and that. I mean, it's a candied popcorn. I thought, I got to do something more unique. And I went home and talked to my wife. We decided I should do a trending flavors. So I did a white truffle and a chocolate salted caramel. Very high quality. Obviously, I'm making it, so it's very high quality. And I get those in the store, and I'm doing a demo one day, and this woman says, "This white truffle is unbelievable." I go, "Well, thank you." She goes, "Oprah loves white truffle." I said, "She does she?" She goes, "She does." I go, "Amazing." So that next week, I made a bunch of my products, a lot of white truffle, and I sent it back to O Magazine. And this is like my 3rd month in business.
I love this story.
2 weeks later, I now have a small little production. I mean, very small, like a 700 square foot production facility that I made. And I'm sitting in there, and the phone rings on a Friday afternoon, like 2:00 my time. And I'm like, "Pop Gourmet. Hi, this is Cheryl with O Magazine." I'm like, "Hi, Cheryl. How are you?" She goes, "Great. Oprah loves your white truffle popcorn. And we have meetings this weekend. Would you be able to send us 5 cases by tomorrow?" And I was like, "Sure I can." She goes, "We'll give you our FedEx number and you just send it." I go, "Absolutely." We hang up. I go pop all this. We make the popcorn. We send it FedEx, so it's there the next day on a Saturday for their meetings. Then a month later, they called me up. They started placing orders again, but they go, "We want you to know Oprah's putting you in her magazine as one of her favorite things." So basically, my 6th month in business, I'm in Oprah's magazine as one of her favorite things, and things just went haywire. I mean, I started getting calls from buyers around the country wanting to bring us in, and I was like, "This is crazy." So we grew really fast. But then what's interesting is she wanted to be a proponent of my story, because we started sharing with the editor, Adam, my whole story and how it came. They want to know how we developed the popcorn, and I explained it to him. And she started getting out there. She had me on her Live Your Best Life tour with her when she was in Seattle and Portland. It was just amazing the support I got. So it just kind of took off. And you know what, Brent, this is where everybody that was out,
Yeah.
wanted
Yeah.
in, right? It's like, oh, we're back.
So we were always with David.
Right.
What,
right.
The other thing, David, that the reason I love this story is a lazy person would listen to that. Oh, David just got really lucky. Can you believe that? Oprah liked the stuff. No, you heard that she liked that. You took action on the fact that, you know what? On a whim, I'm just going to send it to O Magazine and see what happens. And if you wouldn't have done that, there wouldn't have been anything else that would have happened with that. And that's what I love about one of the things that it comes back to over and over and over, David, is that no matter what, and I don't think that it's because you're fearless. I think there's always going to be fear with entrepreneurs and ideas and that. It's, are you willing to walk into the unknown? Are you willing to walk into the unknown? Are you willing to take the action step to just say, you know what? I'm not sure about it. I don't know. I'm going to send it and we'll figure it out if she likes it. Like the next, can I get it? Can I get this package done overnight? Yeah, we'll figure it out. And I think that's kind of the secret sauce of your success, David, is that you'll go into it and you're probably, if you are honest about it, probably fearful that you don't know all the answers, but for some reason, you just believe you're going to figure it out.
You know what, Brent, that's the whole thing right there is I always, my slogan is why not? Unless I know why not, right? I mean, if I know I can't do something 100%, then I'm not going to do it. I mean, IT, that's why I'm on my phone. I couldn't log on my computer. IT is not up my alley here. But at the end of the day, you can't be afraid. I've had, like, with my product now, I've had people come to my booth and go, "You're a genius." I go, "No, no, no. If I was a genius, I wouldn't be here today, because I would have sat down up front and I would have looked at everything and I would have looked at how things are done, and I would have figured out all the problems. I wouldn't have done it. If you don't look at why you can't do it, if you believe you can, I'm willing to attack the problems as they come. You're always, like I said, you're always going to have problems, no matter how great of a company you have, how big of a company you have. There's always issues. You can't make everything perfect. Boar's Head, I mean, big company, right? All these food safety things and quality assurance people, things happen. I mean, it's just, they're out of your control, and you just have to roll with it, right? I mean, you have to take it, figure it out, put it behind you. It only makes you smarter at the end of the day. So you can't be afraid of the unknowns. Maybe it doesn't happen, right?
Right.
So I think, like I said, when I've given out and given talk to entrepreneurs, I mean, it's like, just say, why not? Not, why can't I do it? I mean, or why, why, nothing's going to stop me. So why not go do it? Right. Not stop yourself with all the things that you think you can't do. I think you just figure it out as you go, and you have to be positive what you're doing. But more importantly, I mean, I think for folks that have been in our situation, just being assured of what you can do, and knowing when you're authentic and transparent and just go get stuff done, people are going to jump on board, right? I mean, everybody likes someone that perseveres and that has a goal of being successful. I mean, you can't always win, but just knowing you want to win and want to win the right way, it's a big thing.
Yeah, it is a big thing. And I think, so many people, when they get out, they have that fear or being afraid that they can't step into whatever that is. And there's a lot of reasons why, just fear of failure, fear of what people will think. And I think what you're saying, David, is you just got to step into it anyway.
You do. I mean, you have to own it. You can't let what other people think, that's their problem. We got to think about what we want to think and just move forward, because no matter who you are, no matter what you've been through, people aren't going to like you or don't want to see you succeed, just because people don't like to see people succeed. Some people, they're not happy when someone else is successful because they're not happy with themselves, right? So be happy, own your story, do what you need to do for you, and let everybody else, the hell with them. You know what I mean? They'll come around when you're successful. But can I say that I, with the popcorn company, my goal as I grew was to hire folks that were coming back, that were going through reentry, to give them an opportunity. Because I heard so many stories of people coming back with the right mindset of, I'm going to get my life on track. I want to be there for my family. I want to get a job and do things right. And something goes awry. Either DOC takes their license away for not showing up on time somewhere, and then they can't get to work, so they lose their job, or they don't let them go outside their county for a job, or whatever it is. They just kind of dismantle them, right? And they say, okay, I throw up my hands. I'm going to go back and do what I know how to do, right? Or what I'm forced to do. So I wanted to create an opportunity, and I started hiring people as they came through work release, and we hired over 220 people. A lot of them just used it as a stepping stone to go back. They didn't want to do what we had them doing. And I would ask them, look, this could be something bigger. We had people that now have their own businesses. We had people that are now executives that worked hard. But I wanted to give them that opportunity, give them a space where they were comfortable and they could grow. But you got to be willing to roll up your sleeves. You got to be saying, hey, I'm willing to take a few steps backward. Okay, I was a VP here, or I was a CEO there. Well, you know what? You're not going to get that job out of the gate. Go prove yourself. Take something, build your life, grow. Everybody appreciates someone that's willing to do something where they're uncomfortable or to prove themselves. I mean, when I started cleaning the bathroom in the fitness center and that whole thing, I thought it was just going to be the fitness center. I mean, it turned out to be enormous because I took it seriously, and yeah, after 7 months, I wasn't cleaning bathrooms and, vacuuming carpets and whatever it was. I was hiring people because the growth just came out of nowhere, because I took it seriously. I cleaned like no tomorrow, so I also cleaned like no tomorrow when I was incarcerated. So I was really well liked.
You're a one cleaning guy.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to just roll up your sleeves and do something. Don't have that ego. I think when you turn off the ego and just go do what you got to do, life changes in a very positive way.
Yeah, and I think that's great advice. After everything that you've been through, David, what do you think's your greatest takeaway from where you're at now?
Boy, I think I live by this mantra that everything happens for a reason. You can't control it. It happens. It's what you do with it, right? You can't let it be an anchor and pull you to the bottom. You have to say, okay, this happened. It's done. I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to use it to move forward to be better for myself. Again, I guess one of my biggest takeaways, I grew up very poor. And when I hit it out of the park, when Brotman and Howard Schultz and all these guys invested in me, and I'm the front page of the Seattle Times as Entrepreneur of the Year or whatever, I had a different attitude. I was like, boy, my shit doesn't stink. I want a big house. I need a boat. I should probably get a plane one day, and it was just the ego got out of control. And I think this is why I say I wouldn't change anything. It wasn't fun, but I wouldn't change anything because I feel really fortunate to be where I am today. Like I said, it made me a stronger, better person because it made me smarter about life. And I learned I can get the material things back. I can go back and earn money, but family, health, my close friends, irreplaceable. So, I think it just made life a lot easier and not feeling I had to make myself feel better or impress people with stuff. I just do my thing, man. And, I can only do the best I can. And I can't care about what this guy's going to say or what anybody here is going to say. I just got to live my life and do the best I can. For me, I want to be the best person I can for our planet. And for other people, I love to help people. I want to see them be successful genuinely. I don't expect anything in return. I want to see people be successful and happy. So willing to give without expecting back is a very important thing. But again, biggest thing is just everything happens for a reason, guys, and in my opinion, and it's just let it happen, learn, and go kick ass.
I like that. And you know, one of the things that you talked about, David, and I don't want to just paint over it. You have helped a lot of people that have been justice impacted, and you've hired people. And you know, one of the things that we had talked about was is some people have done really well, and they roll up their sleeves, and there's been others that haven't. And you know, that's what, but it didn't stop you from doing that. You know, that there's you can get frustrated, I think, sometimes when you give opportunities out and somebody doesn't take that opportunity, but you've had some success stories of people that, and I think one of them was a bunkmate. If am I mistaken on that?
My first bunkmate, Dyrell, we really connected. It was kind of funny. And I was kind of, again, I was very popular within the prison system because I owned the largest regional chain of pawn shops. So I got there like, oh man, I used to go to your store over in North Seattle, or hey, can you help me get my watch back? I'm like, that's kind of hard for me to help you get your watch back from here, sir. But I was very popular, and Dyrell was like, man, I wish I could be an entrepreneur like you. And I'm like, well, what do you hear? What do you do? What'd you do? He goes, well, I sold cocaine. I go, well, you were a businessman.
Yes.
You had a product, you had sales, you had distribution, you had collections. I said, you just had the wrong product. He's like, shit. He goes, you're right. I go, anyway, he got out before me, and he went back and he became the general manager of my maintenance company while I was gone. And then when I came home, I sold that. I had to. Nobody wanted me cleaning their units or being inside their facilities because I just got released. Wasn't popular with the maintenance with the residential units, but I started the popcorn company. He came over with me, and he worked with me for 2.5 years before him and his wife moved to another state. And he was amazing. The way he dealt with people, it was just incredible. But again, we hired, and because we were both formerly incarcerated, as we hired people, it was easy that were coming from work release or just were released. It was easy for us to understand if they were to have a problem or what they were up to, you know, because we knew their personalities, and we were savvy enough. So it was pretty cool to have two wranglers that could manage these guys.
It's all these stories that you have, David, are incredible. That's why I want people to go check out David's story next week on episode 9 Minute Success and Out, because he goes into a lot of different things. When he talks about his nightclub, he was a doorman at the nightclub. And then he started cleaning and doing, and he started looking at the books of how they were losing and making money. And then he ends up becoming, the doorman became the owner of the nightclub. And over and over and over again.
One third owner.
One third. But how many doormen become a 1/3 owner of a nightclub? His jewelry store deal is crazy because it really wasn't going that well, and he had a great lease that gave him leverage. But every single time it's happened with David, he's made something out of it. And that's why I say lemons out of lemonade. The man is incredible. David, thank you so much for being here today. I think you're an inspiration to everybody.
Thank you.
Trying
Brent.
to get through this journey.
It's very kind. And, you know, listen, I want to know everybody here that you can reach out to me. Like I said, I like to help people be successful. If I can lean in, if I can connect the dots, if I can help anybody any way, please reach out to me. I guess the best way would be Israel at Popcormate. No, not Popcormate. Boy, I went backwards. Goodplanetfoods.com. I have a lot of emails. Goodplanetfoods.com, or you can ping me on Instagram, or Jeff can connect us, whatever. I'm here to help.
Thanks so much, David.
Thank you, Brent. Jeff, thanks.